AP will do it wrong, so we're here to do it right. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert here with our Week 9 GE Top 25, a very monumental set of our GE Top 25 rankings, as next week, the initial set of the college football playoff rankings will be released. And trust me, we know they're going to do it wrong too. They're going to screw it up too, and we'll have our rankings to counter theirs. But this is a major set of rankings because this is the last one before that poll is released. So we're going to dive into our full top 25, explaining why these teams are ranked where they are. A handful of changes from a very exciting Week 8. Before we do that, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below, primarily those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. We are killing it over there, over 62% against the spread this year, over 72% in our best bet section. So if you want to win big with us, this is the place for you. Go check it out. The link for that, again, down in the description below, along with a handful of other college football content to get you through the rest of this season. So let's dive into it. We'll try to keep it short. No promises, as always. But you take a look at our top 25, the top 3 remain unchanged, and they shouldn't. Michigan, to us, is still the best team in the country. Extra motivation for the Wolverines. Now, under a kind of fraudulent, bogus investigation from the NCAA, if you ask me personally. They took it personally, beating Michigan State 49-0 in Week 8. So the Wolverines, to me, are the number 1 team in the country. They will be there until proven otherwise. They do have a couple of tough games coming up. Obviously, have yet to play Penn State or Ohio State. But give me the Wolverines to stay at number 1 until someone can knock them off or until they just have a really, really bad game, which they have yet to have this year. Georgia right behind them. They did not play this week, so the Bulldogs remain at number 2. They have a big game, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party this Saturday against Florida. And then Florida State remaining at number 3 following their 38-20 victory over Duke. Didn't really look all that great in the first half against the Blue Devils, but then really came to life in the second half. Defense forcing a huge stop inside the 5-yard line. That spearheaded the offense to 3 straight touchdown drives. Ultimately got the win over a top 20 Duke team, which is a lot better than people realize. So top 3 remain unchanged. Number 4, we got Ohio State now cracking our top 4. They leapt Washington. They jumped Washington. The Buckeyes win over a top 10 Penn State team, beating them 20-12, to me was more impressive, and they looked better than Washington, who, yes, the week prior did beat Oregon in one of the best games of the year, but really struggled at home against Arizona State, needing a huge pick 6 late in the fourth quarter to pull away and win 15-7 over a 1-win Sun Devils team. So Ohio State, for me, jumps into the top 4 over Washington, who again struggled this year. This will all start to work itself out by season's end. Of course, we know that. But for right now, give me Ohio State. I like them in our top 4. They played really good ball, and you can make the argument that the Buckeyes have the most impressive resume out of any team in the entire country with their 2 wins on the road at Notre Dame and just last week at home against Penn State. So give me the Buckeyes there. Oklahoma in at number 6, surviving UCF 31-29. Huge benefit for Oklahoma there to survive that, stopping the 2-point conversion with less than a minute and a half left. The Dylan Gabriel reunion game, Gabriel played well. Defense, not so much, not like we expected, but the Sooners survived. They're still the team to be in the Big 12. Not going to drop them in the rankings or anything like that. They actually move up a spot for us because of the movement ahead of them. Oklahoma in at 6. Oregon in at 7, also benefiting from the loss of Penn State, jumping up into the top 7 following their 14-point win over Washington State in a game where Oregon really should have won by like 22 points. Allow that late touchdown, the backdoor cover if you had the Ducks. But Oregon still a dang good football team. We could be setting ourselves up for a possible Washington-Oregon rematch in the Pac-12 championship game. But you can't sleep on Utah either. Oregon traveling to Salt Lake City this Saturday. We'll have more analysis on that game later this week. Penn State dropping only 3 spots following their loss to Ohio State. The offense really struggled to move against Ohio State's defense, but the defense really held their own for the majority of the game in Columbus. Still can't get over the hump of now lost 7 straight to the Buckeyes, but losing by 1 possession on the road, holding their own, I think, for the majority of that game. I'm not going to plummet them in the rankings. Penn State has an opportunity to still make the college football playoff, to still make some noise if they can beat Michigan in Happy Valley here in just a few weeks. So Penn State, to us, still a top 10 team over the likes of Texas, who barely survived Houston 31-24, benefiting from a very controversial call late in the fourth quarter. And then Alabama moving back into our top 10 following their 14-point victory over Tennessee. They jumped in because of UNC's loss to Virginia. We'll get to that in a second. But Alabama back in our top 10, beating a top 20 team by 14 points, really dominating that second half, shutting them out 27-0. You can say, oh, it didn't look good in the first half at all. Got to play a full 60 minutes. Alabama did just that. So that's our top 10. Over in the second column, we've got some teams that can still make some noise as the remainder of this year goes on. Utah is one of them. I feel like we kind of wrote off Utah, that no Cam Rising, their offense is so boring, this, that, and the other. And yet here are the Utes. In at number 11, I nearly put them in my top 10. Couldn't get them to jump Alabama just yet. But winning on the road at USC, 34-32, is extremely, extremely impressive. Not just because they won that game, because their offense came to life. Bryson Barnes was phenomenal in that game. We know now Cam Rising will not play for the remainder of the year. Hasn't played at all this year. He's been shut down. No shot at playing this season. It's the Bryson Barnes show from here on out. He delivered against USC. The Utes have a massive game against Oregon at home this Saturday, at home where they've been dang near unstoppable the last 3 years. If they win that game, you need to start taking Utah seriously as a true college football playoff contender and maybe could repeat for their third straight Pac-12 title. The Utes are the real deal. They've got a dangerous quarterback that's getting better each week and a defense that's one of the best in the nation. Number 11 for us in the rankings. Number 12, 13, 14. Notre Dame did not play. They had a bye week. They remain at number 12 for us. Oregon State on their bye week remain at number 13 for us. Ole Miss beat Auburn 28-21 on the road. Does not move up in the rankings. Could not justify moving Ole Miss over Oregon State or Notre Dame or anybody like that. The Rebels got the win. That's the most important thing. But they didn't look all that impressive in that victory either. Allowed a lot of rushing yards to Auburn, a team that's what they want to do, is just run the football. Ole Miss struggled to stop it, was able to escape, though, in the Hugh Freeze Bowl. Hugh Freeze now 0-2 against his former program, losing with Liberty a few years ago, now losing with Auburn. LSU, right behind them. We got 3 straight SEC teams here. Ole Miss at 14, LSU coming in at 15, following their win over Army, 62-0. Kind of disrespectful to do that to a military program, but hey, at least they painted the end zones, right? At least they painted the end zones camo. But LSU in at 15. Missouri up 2 spots, following their win over South Carolina. The Tigers, guys, are the real deal. Watch out for Mizzou, playing phenomenal football right now. And they could have a colossal clash against Georgia here in just a few weeks. A game that very well could determine who wins the SEC East. Love what Missouri's doing. 34-12 over South Carolina. They move up 2 spots to number 16. Duke drops only 2 following their loss to Florida State. Some say, why only 2? They should have dropped further. Guys, they were playing really, really good football before Riley Leonard went down with an injury. Riley Leonard goes down with an injury. The offense is unable to get the ball in the end zone, up by 3 in the fourth quarter. They score a touchdown there and make it 27-17, and Riley Leonard stays healthy the remainder of the way. I think the Blue Devils win that game. I genuinely do. I think Leonard's injury ultimately broke the Blue Devils, could not get anything going offensively from there on out, and ultimately they lost 38-20. And that game was obviously a lot closer than the final score indicated. So Duke is still a really good football team. Their only losses are to Florida State on the road and a last-second loss to Notre Dame, who we have in at number 12 in our rankings. Duke does not deserve to plummet. They don't deserve to be a fringe top 25 team. They are a solid top 20 team in our eyes. Bring them in at number 17. Tulane and Air Force, 18-19. The battle for the top group of 5 team comes down to me between these 2 programs, and it is razor thin. I mean, the gap between the Green Wave and Air Force and the Falcons it's so narrow. I love both of these programs. I love what they're doing. Right now, giving the edge to Tulane just barely. They've had a tougher strength of schedule than that of Air Force. I'm giving Tulane the edge there. They beat North Texas by 7 this last Saturday. Air Force up 3 spots, beat Navy 17-6. Keep in mind the Falcons have won all but 1 game by double digits this season. So they are really dominating. The best rushing attack in the country, of course. Strong defense plowing the way. They could ultimately finish undefeated, which means if Tulane slips up one more time this year, Air Force could find themselves in a New Year's 6 bowl game, which would truly be a sight to see. So watch out for these 2 teams, guys, as we go through. Going to be a lot of fun to watch. Again, the gap, 18-19, so close. Nearly put Air Force above Tulane. Couldn't pull myself to do it, but who knows? We might have that situation happening here in just a few weeks. Rounding out the top 20, North Carolina. Man, I was rooting for them. I was happy to see UNC in the top 10. I wanted them to be 9-0 and in true college football playoff contention in the late November, and then they lose to the worst team in the ACC at home as 24-point favorites to Virginia. I don't get it. I mean, North Carolina did that last year against Georgia Tech, an inexcusable loss at home to the Yellow Jackets when things were all really going their way. Same thing here. They lose to one of the worst teams, not just in the ACC, but in the country at home, and now their playoff hopes are done. The morale is gone. I just don't understand what's going on at Chapel Hill, how you let that happen, not just this year, but multiple times over the course of Matt Brown's return to the program. So Really, really bad loss for UNC. Nearly dropped them lower than that. Still think they've got a lot of talent, though. Still have some quality wins on their resume. They beat South Carolina. They beat Minnesota. They beat Pittsburgh. They've had some solid wins there. Give me North Carolina in at number 20. But in terms of playoff hopes, in terms of looking at them as a dark horse, things like that, those days are gone now because of that horrible, horrible loss. Rounding out our top 25, we've got James Madison in at number 21, up 3 spots following their win over Marshall. The Dukes are playing really, really good football right now. Again, I don't like the NCAA rules. Still can't go bowling. Still can't contend for conference championships. Still can't contend for a New Year's Six bowl, but we can sure as heck rank them. They deserve that respect. They deserve that recognition. We're going to give it to them. Give me James Madison, again, up 3 to number 21. Louisville up 3 following their bye week, just really benefiting from all the movement ahead of them, so don't even have to play and you move up 3 spots. Kind of a good life to be if you're the Cardinals. They've got a massive game this Saturday against Duke, and we'll be breaking that game down here in just a few days. UCLA back in the rankings. I mean, I swear the Bruins have been in and out all year long in our top 25, but they benefit again from the movement ahead of them and a dominant win over Stanford, 42-7. Poor Stanford thought they might have that momentum following that 29-point comeback victory over Colorado. Yeah, that didn't show on Saturday. Give credit to UCLA as well for losing some heartbreaking games, losing to Utah, losing to Oregon State. They bounced back in a big way, jumped right back into our top 25. Don't sleep on them. They still have an opportunity to really play a role on who makes that Pac-12 championship. The Bruins might not, but they can affect who does. So watch out for UCLA. Really good offense, playing some good ball there. And then rounding out our top 25, last 2 teams, Tennessee dropping 5 spots to number 24 following their loss to Alabama. We already touched on that. Volunteers dominated that first half, though, just collapsed in the second half. Not enough to justify me dropping them completely out of the top 25 when their only losses were to a solid Florida team and on the road to Alabama. Both them road losses, by the way. And then USC in at number 25. Nearly dropped them out. Nearly dropped USC out of my top 25. I'm holding on to them right now, not because I'm a USC fan or biased or anything like that. I still think there's a lot of talent on this team, and the fact they lost at the last second to Utah. They beat Utah. People would have had them skyrocketing in the rankings back towards the top 10 where they want them to be, but you lose by 2 points in the final seconds. I'm not going to plummet you out. I'm going to drop you 4 spots. You're a fringe top 25 team holding on by a thread. But USC still remains. They've still got a great quarterback in Caleb Williams, a lot of talent there. One of their losses is in non-conference play, so they're not completely out of the Pac-12 title race. Do not disregard them. Playoff hopes, done. Pac-12 title hopes, not done. The opportunity to play spoiler, not done. So USC going to remain in our top 25, but again, they're barely holding on. There are a lot of teams right behind them knocking on the door, looking to get in. I have a feeling they will by the time we do these rankings this time next week. So there you go, guys. Our Week 9 GE Top 25. A lot of changes this week. A lot of changes to come over these next couple of weeks. Again, we got these rankings every single Monday. So next Monday, we'll put these rankings out 1 full day before the playoff committee releases their initial set of rankings. We'll be here on a live stream to break down those rankings live. We know we'll have a lot of issues with them. We hope you're there to join us, to scrutinize, to criticize, and to look at what the landscape of college football will be as we enter the final month of the season. So once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Do not miss out on those guys hitting over 62% of our bets this season. If you want guaranteed winnings and the best service in the entire country, this is the place for you. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.